Hello, fight fans. Happy Monday. Welcome to a new fresh week. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, and welcome to episode 349 of the Neutral Corner Boxing Podcast. I am your host, Michael Montero, and we'll be talking about a lot of stuff in this episode, including a good old rant. I hope you guys are ready for that. Got a rant on this DAZN thing, man. DAZN raising the rent and not even apologizing for it and not really reading the room in terms of the response from the customers. And I think that's going to hurt them. So we'll talk about that in detail. And then, of course, we'll review two fantastic fights this last weekend, entertaining, action-packed fights that ended in knockouts. And then we'll preview this weekend schedule. Not a whole lot going on this weekend. Some more Jake Paul stuff to talk about, but we'll do all that. All right. So TNC 349, as always, I remind you guys, please make sure that you're subscribed, not just here on YouTube if you're watching the live video right now, but if you're listening to the audio pod, as most of you do, make sure that you're subscribed on those podcast platforms around the world. Look for me, search for Michael Montero, the Neutral Corner, Montero on Boxing. You'll find me. Make sure you're subscribed and you're leaving ratings, reviews, all that good stuff. Those things help. And guys, the fee for this show is simple. It's non-monetary. I just ask you spread the word. We do a totally organic word-of-mouth thing here. I'm an independent operator, and I need you to spread the word about the show. So pay the fee. And that's something I need you guys to do every week. All right? Just let people know about the show and share. And feel free to share clips of the show, audio stuff, whatever. All right? Feel free to share. Just get the word out. All right. So let's get right into this, man. Because I'm probably gonna have to rant on this for a few minutes. You guys are gonna have to bear with me. And I should mention, just for those of you who don't know, DAZN recently announced, I think was it last Thursday or Friday? I can't remember exactly. All the days are blurring together. They sent an email out to their customers in the United States and announced a price increase for really whether you do the monthly service or the annual. But the big thing was the annual. It went from $150 and now it's going to be $225. And I think this increase is effective next month, sometime in March. I don't remember the exact date. So this is a 50% jump, right? Because it went up $75. Obviously, that's half of $150. So that's a 50% jump. And this follows a 50% increase last year. And also breaking the promise of death to pay-per-view last year. So within the last year, there have been two 50% increases, which ultimately means a 125% increase from the original $100 a year annual price tag for the annual subscription, I should say. 125% increase and pay-per-view, right? And they sent an email, and I could show you guys the email. I'm not going to do all that and read the whole email. You guys have seen this anyway, right? If you're a diehard boxing degenerate like myself, which you have to be if you're watching this show, you've probably seen the email going around. There's been a bunch of screenshots of it. But they break down in there like 3 different plans you could do. And like all of them pretty much end up being the same thing. It's basically around $20 a month. And there's no fine print anywhere that says this will be locked in for a number of years, or, you get a free pay-per-view voucher, 1 pay-per-view voucher a year with this subscription. Like there's nothing like that. There's no like throwing the customer a bone. It's just, hey, we're jacking this up 50%. Here you go. That's it. Meanwhile, here in the United States, I know there are economic problems around the world, but I'm specifically talking about the United States right now, guys. And most of my audience is overseas, and I know that a lot of you guys in different markets, the price has been jacked up for you as well. So I empathize. Okay. But I mean, to detail all the different price increases in every market, I'd be ranting for hours. So I'm specifically talking about the United States one, but it's relatable for all you guys everywhere. Okay. But here in the United States, from 2021, 2022, going into 2023, we've had recently record high gas prices. Like terrible inflation. The value of the dollar has dropped significantly. So unless you've gotten like a 10, 15% raise at your job the last couple of years, you're actually making less money today than you were making in 2020, 2021 even. So we're having major economic issues in this country. Hundreds of millions of people in this country are suffering economically. Only a very small percentage are doing better than they actually were a couple of years ago. The middle class and the working class, and that is the largest customer base of boxing and most sports, if we're being honest, has taken the hardest hit, as always happens during these times. And you're going to increase now with all that going on? It's really, really hurt the brand of DAZN. And all I'm trying to do here, guys, is keep the same energy that I've had when I've criticized other platforms. And I get accused of being biased, but you know, the protectors of whatever platform, they never pay attention when I go after other guys. This is an example of where I'm taking it right to DAZN. This is 100% on them. And I got to keep the same energy. I've criticized PBC Showtime plenty on this show. I've criticized Top Rank ESPN plenty on this show. And I got to go after DAZN. And that includes, obviously, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. That includes Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy. There are some other promotional outfits that work on DAZN, but those are the two major ones. And yeah, everyone's included in this rant. So I posted a tweet Friday after getting the email. In full disclosure, my wife does all the subscriptions, you know, for like Netflix, Hulu. She handles all that crap. So she actually got the email. And I think it was Friday morning. She, you know, we're drinking our morning coffee, feeding our daughter, you know, starting our day. And she says, Mike, look at this. And sent me the email, forwarded it to me, and we talked about it. And we had a discussion. We had a very frank discussion about, is this worth the price anymore? We weren't even talking yet about the slap in the face. Okay. It was just, is the value there for this anymore? Honestly, is it worth us paying $225 going forward? And we talked about it and we decided that it wasn't. At this present time, with everything I'm dealing with in my life and what we've got going on, it is not worth it to pay that at the current rate of service that we're receiving from the DAZN platform. It's not worth it. And let me tell you this, guys. Here in the United States, you know, there's a three-headed monster. You've got ESPN, you've got Showtime, and Fox really doesn't do boxing anymore unless it's an occasional pay-per-view, so I don't even mention them anymore. It's ESPN, Showtime, DAZN. Well, just to subscribe to those three platforms, okay, keep in mind, ESPN is not free. It's called basic cable, but you're paying for it with your basic cable package. So maybe it breaks down to $5 or $6 a month, but there is a fee for your ESPN. It's not free. So for ESPN and the ESPN Plus app, for Showtime, which is premium cable that comes with a premium charge, and for DAZN subscription, collectively there, you're talking about $500 a year now, okay? Just to be subscribed to those platforms. And some of you will say, well, Mike, on DAZN, you get darts and you get, you know, all these other great sports. That's not why I'm subscribing to it. Mike, on ESPN Plus, you can watch women's JV volleyball, you know, South Missouri, Texas Tech, they're playing each other. I don't give a flying F. I subscribe for the boxing. Mike, on Showtime, you can watch all these great woke shows. I don't give a shit. I subscribe for the boxing. So $500 a year to subscribe to those platforms. And there's no telling if we get another price hike next year. ESPN Plus went up last year. Maybe they'll go up again soon. Maybe they'll go up next year. Maybe DAZN's going to increase from $225 to $300. So there's that. And it doesn't include pay-per-view. And really, PBC is the worst offender here. They're doing almost a monthly pay-per-view. Since the pandemic, since the COVID pandemic, it's been almost monthly. Definitely every other month, they're doing pay-per-views over there. It's ridiculous. ESPN will do one or two a year. DAZN will do one or two a year when Canelo fights. So collectively, if you buy, just in theory, if you're a boxing degenerate and you buy every pay-per-view and you subscribe to the platforms so you never miss a fight, it's about $1,200 a year now. Okay, that's about $100 a month. That's seriously expensive. That's ridiculous. When I can subscribe, when I can literally pay for HBO, not that look, I don't subscribe to HBO anymore. It's shit. But I'm just saying, if I wanted to, I could subscribe to HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. Those platforms, I think, what is it now? There's what's the one with that really popular? I can't think of it all. Not Paramount. So there's another one. Anyway, those platforms are cheaper now than DAZN. I could subscribe to HBO right now. I could sign up for a year of HBO, and it's cheaper than a year of DAZN. My Netflix, my Amazon is cheaper than DAZN. How the hell do you wrap your brain around that? How do you wrap your brain around that? So Friday, I posted a tweet, and this tweet went viral. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'll read it for those of you listening to the audio pod, because I'd say about 90% of the audience of this show is audio listeners, not on YouTube. It's only a small portion of you guys that watch the vid. So those of you watching, obviously you can see this, but for those of you who are listening, I'll read this. I tweeted this on Friday. I tweeted, the new $225 annual price tag for DAZN is ridiculous. It jumped up 50% last year, and now another 50% coming next month. On top of that, we're still getting charged extra to watch Canelo. I have been a loyal subscriber since the launch, but this is too much. I'm out. #boxing. And I did include a screenshot from the email. I didn't put the whole email in here, but I just wanted to show. Oh, and this has the date. This is the actual message, right? I'm sure a bunch of you guys saw this too, where I'm just validating this price. And it goes, it is effective March 18th, 2023. So literally less than a month from now, okay? It's going to go up to $225 a year. Now, here's the biggest part of this. Right here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. This tweet has currently over 88,000 views. Over 88,000 people saw this tweet, okay? So I know that it's popular now for people to rant on social media, like, I'm canceling this app, and they'll tag Delta. They'll hashtag Delta. Delta's service was shit. I'll never fly Delta again. Hashtag Delta, right? And it looks like this passive aggressive temper tantrum, and I get it. A lot of you guys are annoyed by posts like that. I see that stuff, and I think it's kind of petty too. That's not what this post was. I wasn't going for that. You'll notice I did not or mention DAZN. I did not hashtag DAZN. I wasn't even including them in this. I mentioned them, but I don't, tag them in the post. Nothing like that. This was not me trying to get attention from them. This was me expressing a legitimate gripe as a guy that has been on board since day one because I believed in the product. I thought, man, this has real potential. I like where they're going with this. They've made several mistakes, though. This is actually the fourth strike, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. This is the fourth slap in the face from DAZN, and it's just one too many. So there are some of you out there that did respond, and some DM me. I got some of the, I guess, DAZN protectors came after me. Just every group now has the unpaid interns, as I call them, that have to protect their spiritual leader, whether it's Al Heyman or Eddie Hearn or, the folks at DAZN, the folks at Showtime, Steven Espinoza, whoever. And some of the unpaid interns from DAZN came after me, DM me and said, why do this, Mike? Do you really think DAZN cares? Do you think they care if you unsubscribe? They're going to march on forward. I get it. Boxing is going to march forward with or without me. But trust me, they care. And they noticed this tweet. The guys at DAZN and these other platforms, some of the people do follow me. Some of the people, and some of the people do interact with me on Twitter and in personal life. I'm friends with several of these guys and we talk and stuff. But a lot of them can't publicly follow me because I don't go to the political rallies they go to, and I don't hang out in the parties and in the circles that they hang out in. And it's bad for them in their life because everyone they surround themselves with is a judgmental prick. It's going to be bad for their image to publicly talk with me and follow me and stuff like that, right? Because of what I embody and symbolize in their bigoted, weak minds. So they may not follow me publicly, but oh shit, do they watch me? Oh shit, do they listen to me and read my stuff? Oh yeah, I know that. I can't tell you guys how many times I've gotten DMs, emails, texts, calls from people saying, yo, Mike, there's an email going around at X such and such network about you. Yo, Mike, such and such executive over here is really pissed off at you. They shared your tweet. It's going around. That's happened so many times I can't even count. Okay. I know it happened here. Check this out. Today, 7 hours ago, who responds to my tweet? None other than DAZN Boxing. They didn't respond Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. They respond today after they got slaughtered on social media all weekend. There was probably a meeting, some phone calls, some emails, and a list of viral tweets. And my tweet went viral, right? You guys saw the numbers. And it wasn't the only one. There's several, okay? But mine was on a list that went around, and it was like, okay, Mr. Intern over here, respond to these people and let them know the great package we're offering, right? So this is what DAZN says to me. Hi, U.S. fans can also enjoy 50 plus boxing events plus nonstop access to top sporting events and competitions, innovative leagues, and 24/7 channels from a multitude of sports, including boxing, MMA, wrestling, men and women's soccer, extreme sports, motorsports, golf, and more. Okay, that is some canned, copy-paste, corporate bullshit, right? My tweet was very personal. It wasn't vicious. It wasn't mean. I wasn't saying, I hope DAZN fails and they all burn in purgatory for 1,000 years. Like, it was nothing like that. It wasn't mean or vicious. It was just me stating a gripe, a legitimate gripe as a consumer. And I'm not just a regular consumer. I'm a guy with a certain amount of influence in the boxing community. My social media following collectively over all the platforms is 40 to 50,000. Okay. So when I do talk about things, it does move the needle a little bit. I'm not saying my profile's big. It's small, but it's enough to where, yeah, I can influence things. I've seen betting lines change after my show. I've seen drug testing get added to fights after I bitched and complained and got people talking about it. So look, this response is indicative of the issue here. And that's why my original tweet, I didn't hashtag DAZN. I hashtagged boxing. This is about boxing. It's about DAZN, but it's about boxing, right? Their response shows that I'm pretty much just being dismissed and ignored. Talk about not reading the room. Talk about not getting it. The responses to DAZN's response are awesome. I'm not even going to read all the responses you guys have sent, but they're pretty great. My boy Steve Kim retweeted their tweet and said, I'm just here for the comments, LOL, right? Because a lot of you guys, your comments have been brilliant on this. But I wanted to share this tweet and the corporate response. Again, this is what they're saying publicly. Now, behind the scenes, they're saying all sorts of nasty shit. But this is what, they put out publicly. Okay. Let me talk about what I call the 4 strikes against DAZN. And then I'm going to get back to the email, and I'm going to give a little unsolicited advice to DAZN, but also all the other platforms out there. I'm going to give a little unsolicited advice because you guys are not reading the room. And I'm going to include like Steven Espinoza, the guys at Showtime, all the people who personally attack me and guys like me. Instead of like doing that, you should really maybe change your frame of mind and take a different approach going forward. We'll talk about that. But first, let's see, just real quick review of the DAZN. I think it started in late 2017 with the World Boxing Super Series. That's when it really started kicking off in boxing. And then Canelo came on in late 2018 against Rocky Fielding. And then Triple G came on in 2019, I think late 2019 against Steve Rolls. And then they really started rolling. And then the COVID pandemic hit. That hurt everybody. It kind of stunted their growth, but they've gotten the ball rolling again. They've had some big fights the last couple years, some of the bigger fights in the sport. They have featured the biggest stars, Canelo, AJ, Golovkin, guys like that globally. And they've launched in, over 100 countries and territories. So they're all over the place, right? They're making moves and doing stuff. And there's a lot that I do like. But along the way, they've made several mistakes. And I've talked about that stuff on my show. I've talked about the things that just from a technical standpoint, I think DAZN could do better. And some of the quality of their content, which isn't very good, and how they can improve that by bringing on some different content creators, basically guys that the guys you watch on YouTube, the guys that the podcast you listen to, that's the sort of stuff DAZN needs to bring on. And I've talked about that. But I've been slapped in the face personally as a customer and a promoter of the brand so many times now that I'm out. So let me talk about that. The first real slap in the face for me was DAZN's COVID response. Now, during the COVID pandemic in 2020, sports basically shut down for like 3 to 6 months, depending on the sport and the timing and all that, right? But there were several months where it wasn't just sports. I mean, things were locked down. And everyone still had subscriptions. You had subscriptions to your gym, maybe your child's daycare, things like that. And those subscriptions continued, right? But what a lot of businesses did during that time is they realized that their customers were hurting. And they said, hey, listen, we're going to give you 3 months at a discount, or we're going to give you So here's an example. The gym that I was going to at the time still charged us a monthly fee, me and my wife. But what they said is, we're going to take these, I think it was 3 months that they were closed here in where we live now in Atlanta. It was like 3 months. And they said, we're going to add 3 months free at the end of your contract. So you're going to pay right now, but we're going to add 3 free months at the end of your contract. So that was throwing us a bone, right? And it was showing that, hey, we appreciate you sticking around and staying subscribed with us and paying the monthly fee, even though you can't even come in right now. So what we're going to do to show our appreciation is we're going to add these 3 months to the end of your deal, right? And there were several businesses that did things like that. Smart businesses did. Did DAZN do anything like that? No. So for months, annual subscribers had paid for this service and there was nothing on, right? 2020 basically was cut in half. So you were paying at that time $100, but you're only getting half a year worth of product. And at no point was it, hey, we're going to extend your annual subscription by 3 months. We're going to extend this out. You subscribed April 1st. We're going to extend it out to May, June, July 1st. We're going to extend it out 3 months. Nothing like that. So it felt like I was being kind of taken for granted, even though I was an original subscriber from the launch, from when they got into boxing, from that launch. And then I stuck around through COVID, right? And I didn't have, a lot of you guys canceled during COVID, and I understand that. We didn't. We hung on. We hung in there. And I looked at it like, listen, this is me trying to support boxing. And by the way, I hung in there with my Showtime. I was with Showtime. I've cut Showtime since, but I still had Showtime then. And with, I don't even know if ESPN Plus was, I think they were launched. I think I was subscribed to them too. We stuck with all our subscriptions. It was like, our boxing subscriptions, let's help out, because I know everyone's hurting right now. That's honestly how I felt. It really, truly was. But I felt like I was taken for granted there. And I know I'm not alone in that feeling. But here's the next big slap in the face. It was last year when that price hike went from 100 to 150. That's a 50% price increase, 50%. Now, it would be one thing if that 50% price increase coincided with them signing top rank fighters, like adding a whole slew of new fighters or something like that, or announcing another tournament or something like that, right? Because us boxing nerds, we love tournaments, right? But there was nothing like that. There was no additional content or anything. It was just, we're jacking this up by 50%, not 20%, 50. Again, that coming during a time where the value has lost significant, or the dollar has lost significant value over the last 2 to 2.5 years. The COVID pandemic crushed the economy, but there was a rebound directly after that. But from 2021 on, the economy's been shit. The dollar's lost value. Inflation's through the roof. Gas prices are insane. Egg prices are insane. Meat, bread, everything's insane right now. And you're going to jack our shit up 50%? That was another slap in the face. And that coincided with another slap. They started charging for pay-per-view. And Canelo Bivol was a good fight, but did I personally feel it was worth an extra $60? I think it was $60 for subscribers. It was $80, I think, for non-subscribers. I didn't personally feel it was worth that. I didn't, it just, I don't know. It wasn't a fight that we asked for. It was interesting, and I watched it because I am a degenerate. And it was an intriguing fight, and I thought Bivol had a really good chance. I obviously favored Canelo because of the business of boxing. But anyway, that pay-per-view thing, when they built themselves up the first couple years, it was hashtag death to pay-per-view, hashtag RIP pay-per-view, right? Remember that shit? DAZN is the nail in the coffin of pay-per-view. And I bought into that shit. I truly was like, wow, I love the messaging here. So when you increased the price and broke your promise, and really the whole thing that you built yourself upon, yeah, dude, that was a big slap in the face. Now, despite all that, I still stuck around. We paid the $150. I think we paid it like last fall. So we're good through this summer with our annual. We paid the $150 and accepted that, okay, now there's some pay-per-view fights, and I'll have to decide if I want to buy those or not. Most of them I don't buy. But now it's $225. And again, there's no additional content. We're not being provided with better content. I will say this. Technically, you're getting more stuff. You're getting more fight cards, right? There is more quantity, but it's not necessarily quality. I don't give a shit about YouTube influencers boxing. No, look, I'm not mad at them. Do your thing, dude. Like, okay, I respect you. Go ahead and do your fights and all that. Get your money. I get all that. It's just not something I'm particularly interested in watching. So, like, I don't care that you're putting on these YouTuber events, these influencer events. I don't care that you're adding darts and, horse racing or whatever the hell else to put, horseshoes or cricket. Like, I don't watch that crap. If I want to watch drunken frat boys throw darts at the wall, I could go to my local neighborhood pub. Like, I don't need that on DAZN. So I'm getting no additional content, and I'm getting another 50% price increase. Yeah, this time I'm out. I've hung in through COVID. I hung in through the original price increase. I hung in when you lied and broke your promise about pay-per-view. I hung in, but I can't hang in anymore. And let me tell you something. I mentioned earlier when I read the email, it said $225. I scanned up and down. I'm like, there's got to be fine print somewhere that says this includes a pay-per-view voucher, or this includes, or this is a price lock, and you'll be locked in for 4 years. Like, I expected to see something like that, because I'm like, they can't just increase this and just expect people to be like, oh, okay, shit, that's cool. Especially with everything they pulled last year, right? It's been a couple years since the COVID thing, but all that stuff last year, dude, people got memories. They don't have long memories. They're short memories, but that wasn't too long ago. I didn't see any of that fine print. And I thought about this example. I'm sure you guys have done this. I know I have. every year, basically, when your cable, the 12-month deal you have with your cable package ends, the cable company jacks up your price, right? And it goes from, I'm just throwing out numbers here, but it goes from 100 to 170 bucks or something, right? And you get that bill and you're like, what the hell is this? And then you see your discount rate is over. Your 12-month rebate or whatever is over, and you're back to the original price. And so I'm sure you guys, like myself, I've called the cable company, and you're talking to the pizza face kid on the phone. You know, he said, hello, sir. You know, his balls have barely dropped. His voice is cracking. The pizza face kid answering the phone, you know, hello, sir. And so you're talking to him. And after about 5 minutes, you're like, listen, dude, you jacked my shit up. Dish has a deal right now where it's half the price and I get just as much stuff. I'm going to Dish. Hold on, sir, don't hang up. Let me get my manager. The manager gets on the phone. And that's some smooth talker like, hi, how you doing? I'm Carl Carlson. I'm the supervisor. And that's the guy that will sit down and say, I'm with the customer retention department. Let me ask you something, sir. Would you stick with us if we gave you another 12-month promotional price and we gave you free HBO for 6 months? Would that work? And I'm like, yeah, cool. Okay, you got me. I'll stick around. Boom, done. I know that's happened with some of you guys, right? I've done that. And in fact, if you're smart, you mark that date on the calendar. My wife does that to remind me, hey, Mike, call the cable company. I'm just naming a date. It's November 5th. Call the cable company. They're going to jack up the price again this month. Call and say we're switching to Dish. And so like I pulled that stunt 10 years in a row. And guess what? The cable company kept me as a customer. But late last year, I called them and they said the customer retention dude came on and did his little spiel, but he wasn't offering me that discounted rate anymore. They had raised the prices because of, I guess, all the issues that we're having in this country economically. And I said, no, what about this rate? This is what I was paying before. I want this. And they said, well, we can't do that anymore. We can give you like 20% off, 30%. I'm like, no, I want 50%, like I was getting before. I want the free HBO for 6 months. Like, you know, we can't do that anymore, sir. Okay, go fuck yourself. Click. We don't have cable anymore. We stream. We found a streaming service that offers all the basic cable shit, and it's like $50. So that's what we're doing. And you know what? I don't miss cable at all. I don't miss it. It's easier streaming shit. You guys are watching this video on a stream, right? We live with streaming. It's just a bunch of apps now, right? So we stream our local stations and our basic cable, just like we stream DAZN, ESPN Plus, Netflix, Hulu. We stream it. Cable lost me. They had me for a long time. They lost me because Mr. Customer Retention didn't retain the damn customer. DAZN, where's your customer retention department? Because let me tell you something. Here's my unsolicited advice to DAZN, but not just DAZN, to all of you, right? I don't think you guys are reading the room. I don't think you guys quite understand here. Me, when I say me, I don't mean me personally, just Michael Montero. I mean me and my following. The people that listen to this show, watch this show, call into this show, the people I interact with every day on Twitter, okay? And again, my social media following, collective following is 40 to 50,000 people, give or take, with all the different platforms I'm on and stuff. We represent the bulk demographic, your key demo of your customer base. I represent your target demo. I am the guy, and everyone here at my show, we are the guys, we are the people that keep the lights on over at your operation. It's not the 15-year-old teeny bopper high school chick who occasionally buys a pay-per-view or gets a 1-month subscription at DAZN to watch her favorite YouTuber with her shirt off boxing, okay? She's not the one that watched Canelo versus Fielding. She's not the one that watched Canelo versus Yildirim. The woke hashtag activist on Twitter who checks in to make sure you change your profile picture during Gay Pride Month, that person, They didn't watch the World Boxing Super Series. They're not subscribing to your annual thing. They didn't watch Golovkin Rolls. All right. It's guys like me, week to week, month to month, that keep the lights on at your operation. We are the ones who subscribe to the apps. We buy the pay-per-views. We even come to the fights when we can. Us, guys like me. So instead of disregarding me with your stupid canned response to my tweet, or like Steven Espinoza and the guys at Showtime and all the unpaid interns they've had, personally attacking guys like me, going after me and even my wife, and pulling up tweets and stuff from a decade ago to attack me because you can't get me on anything presently. Instead of doing that, maybe you should actually start listening to guys like me. And I'll take it a step further. Maybe you should actually start reaching out, extending an olive branch to guys like me. Because once again, I am your target demo. I am who you want to subscribe to your platform. When I say demo, I'm not talking about demographics in terms of ethnicity, gender. I'm talking about me being a diehard boxing degenerate. That's the demo I'm talking about, okay? Get all that other crap out of your freaking head. Me, the people that follow me, the people I interact with, the people that watch my stuff and listen to my stuff and read my stuff, we represent the demo that you're trying to reach. When you attack me personally on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, my followers see that. They feel attacked too, because if I can be attacked, so can they. When you disregard me with your stupid canned corporate response, my followers, my subscribers also feel like they're being shit on. Do you understand? Is that permeating into your brain yet? You shouldn't be attacking guys like me and disregarding or trying to silence or cancel me or get me out of the sport. Okay? You should actually be listening. If you want to continue to keep the lights on and stay viable and visible in this business, you got to start listening to people. You got to start paying attention. You got to start reading the room. Again, woke hashtag activist, 15-year-old teeny bopper high school chick, they'll tune in occasionally. And they'll make some noise on, the Instagram, TikTok thought that goes to your events and post a selfie from ringside. Cool, that gets you a little web traffic for that event. But week to week, month to month, I'm here on my show talking about your events. I'm previewing them. I'm reviewing them. I'm giving my thoughts analytically about what I saw, what I expect to see. We're talking about gambling and all that stuff that goes into it. Basically, guys like me promote your shit to the casual fan. Do you get it yet? So if you're losing me, dude, yeah, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm not a big deal. You losing me is, because I have been a staunch defender of this sport for as long as I can remember. But I can only take so many slaps in the face before I say, fuck it. It's just 90% of these fights are showcases. We know who's going to win. The 10% that are actually interesting matchups, I can find a stream. That's the truth. I can find a stream. I want to support. Trust me, I've spent thousands, it has to be tens of thousands of dollars supporting this sport. Not just as a media guy, or as a diehard fan, but also as a competitor. I've lived and competed as an amateur athlete in this sport, okay? I've really contributed on a big level. And a lot of the guys that listen to my show and stuff, it's the same thing. So again, dude, you guys got to start reading the room. All right. All right. I think I got that out of my system. Thank you for obliging me listening to all that, guys. Okay. Let me get a couple super chats, and then we'll move on to the review preview. I wonder how many people I offended and triggered with that one. Aaron Gorman with the super chat. Thank you so much, brother. He says, Mike, I think there's a market for MLB Global to consolidate all of these networks into one streaming site. Yeah, dude, if I had about $10 billion, maybe I'd try it. But yeah, other than that, nah, no way. It would be awesome, though, if you could put it all together in one envelope, right? It'd be great. Anthony Santiago with the super chat. What's up, Ant? Ain't heard from you in a while, man. Thank you. He said, what up, Mike and chat? Canceled DAZN 2 after being a day one subscriber. Here you go, DAZN, because I know you guys are watching, even though you pretend you're not. Here you go. Ant's another loyal subscriber. You lost him. It ain't about me. It's about everyone here. Do you understand? Ant says, at $225, that is more than Amazon Prime. Exactly. He says, does DAZN bring more value than Amazon Prime? Not only video streaming. Hashtag Team Firestick. Couldn't have said it better myself, dude. My 40-minute rant, you just encapsulated it into a perfect message right there. You're a way smarter guy than me, dude. Perfect. Yes. That's exactly how I feel. And again, is anything I just said malicious or nasty or untrue in any way? Was it vindictive or mean? No. I'm just telling the truth. Sam A with a super chat. Thank you so much, brother. He says, I bought DAZN and ESPN Plus for a year last month because I live bet and need zero delay. DAZN, both cards was 40 seconds delayed from live. Brutal. Wow. Yeah. When you're betting live and you're paying to have a zero delay, there's a 40-second delay. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I feel you, Sam. That kind of sucks. Taurine, the creator, says, damn, Mike, you should be a voice actor. Actually, brother, I have done some voiceover work. I really need to get back into that. I need to. But I've done voiceover work on radio and television. I've even done what they call ADR in movies and film. I've done, I don't talk about all that stuff, but yeah, I have. Nacho says, Mike, you sound like the kid from Krusty Burger on The Simpsons. Holy shit. I didn't even think about that. You're right, though. Holy shit. That's hilarious, dude. That's hilarious. Oh, man. You guys are awesome, man. You guys are freaking awesome. Seriously. Okay. And, I'm going to add Timmy's comment here. He said, Timmy Turner says, your rants are the best because they're underlined with facts and logic. Thank you. That's what I try to do here. It is what I try to do. Okay. That felt good. I needed to get that rant out. Now, let's talk about fights. Okay, that's why we're here. Let's do the review. Last Saturday, February 18th, let's start in Nottingham, England. Matchroom card on DAZN. By the way, DAZN had a good weekend in terms of the action. The undercards are terrible, but like the two main events were great. It's just everything else sucked for them. Anyway, Mauricio Lara, TKO 7, Leigh Wood wins the WBA featherweight belt. And I'm not sure how many belts the WBA has at featherweight. It's probably 472, I think, by my last count. But anyway, this one particular belt, now Lara has it. The key point to this fight, and we'll talk about the stoppage, but the key point to this fight, never hook with a hooker. I'm sure you guys have heard that statement before. Leigh Wood was doing a very good job for most of the first 6 rounds of this fight, staying long, getting in and getting out very fast, but also keeping his right hand up. You can tell that him and trainer Ben Davidson and their team looked at Lara's left hook, because every combination Lara throws, he ends it with a hook, usually to the body, sometimes body and head. All right, that's how he ends his combinations, but there's always a left hook coming at the end. It's just how he caps everything off. And Leigh Wood did a very good job blocking that. But in the 7th round, when he maybe got a little too cocky, because he had been having a lot of success the couple rounds before that. In fact, I had Leigh Wood well ahead in this fight. You can make an argument 5-1 after 6 or 4-2 after 6. There's no way this was an even fight, as some people suggested on Twitter. Leigh Wood was clearly winning this fight at the time of the stoppage. But He threw a hook with Lara. Okay, in combination. They were both in combination. Boom. While he threw that hook, he had his right hand up, but because he was rotating, throwing his hook, it exposed the chin, right? Lara's hook was shorter, it was lower, and it was faster. So a lot of times when two guys are throwing a hook, it's not just whose hook is shorter, right? Because if I loop that hook, if you pull back here and I loop it, it's going to hit the guard. But if I shorten it, it's going to hit right at the point of the chin. But also, the hook that gets there quicker is the lower shot. If you hook from here and you come up just under the chin, and the other guy's hooking up at the temple, that hook that you're shooting lower, gonna land first, especially when someone's turning into it because they're throwing too. Okay, so guys, something for those of you who like to compete and train in boxing, something that you can work on when you're throwing hooks. Shorten it and lower it. Okay, and you can almost 45 it where you slightly come up at an angle. But anyway, that's what Lara did, and that's why Lara's hook, both hooks landed, but Lara's hook again lower and shorter and faster. That's why it was faster, because Leigh Wood is actually the faster, more athletic guy between the two, but Lara's punch placement just better, particularly with the hook. So Wood really did himself a great disservice by throwing that hook with a guy who has a much better hook. If Leigh Wood, instead of throwing a hook when he got caught, had he just thrown a left jab, would have caught Lara's hook right on his guard. And his jab would have landed, and he would have won that sequence because he would have landed the punch and blocked the punch at the same time. But because he hooked and turned, he turned right into Lara's punch. I hope that makes sense. So that's the lesson here for Leigh Wood, who up to that point was fighting very well and actually made Lara look kind of sloppy in spots. Lara was missing pretty wildly. Lara now, he kept coming forward and kept marching forward and throwing punches and being aggressive. That's what he does. But man, there was sections in those first 6 rounds where he looked downright amateurish and sloppy. That's how tight Leigh Wood was fighting. He was fighting a very good fight, then made that one fundamental error. Now, gets dropped toward the end of the 7th round with that hook. Gets up, but is clearly wobbly. Legs are shot to shit. Pops up, but it immediately stumbles into the corner, right? Now, the referee is going to give Leigh Wood every chance he can to survive this fight. It's in his neck of the woods. Had this fight been in Mexico, that fight might have been called right then and there by the ref. But over there in Nottingham, the ref's going to give Leigh Wood a million chances to fight. So people saying, well, the ref let it continue. Of course. Look where it is and look who's fighting. Of course. Okay. Had Lara been dropped like that, ref might have stopped it. That's the truth. That's the truth. You guys know I'm telling the truth here. So the ref lets it continue, which I agreed with. I agreed with that decision. Ben Davison immediately throws in the towel. And I don't remember exactly how many seconds were left, but I know it was less than 20 seconds. I want to say Leigh Wood got up at like 16 seconds left, something like that, if memory serves me correctly. So a lot of people hated this stoppage. A lot of people hated it. I posted a poll on Twitter, one of my good old-fashioned polls. Over 500 of you voted, and 73% of you thought it was a good stoppage. Only 27% of you thought it was a bad stoppage. I saw Dan Raphael, of all people, and he wasn't the only one that made a really, I think, weak, dumb comparison, but he tried to compare it to Ben Davison when he was in Tyson Fury's corner when Fury got dropped in the 12th round against Deontay Wilder in their first bout. Those are completely different situations. Completely different situations with completely different fighters and fights with completely different ramifications. So I think that's a weak comparison. I'm not saying that to diss Dan. I think it's a weak comparison. You just can't compare those two things. And Dan should know better to know that every trainer treats their fighters differently based upon the relationship they have with the fighter, but also they know the fighter. They know what they've been through in camp, where they're at, if they're compromised, if there was a weight cut involved, all those sorts of things. With a heavyweight, it's just a much different thing. So all those comparisons I saw on Twitter, I just think were dumb and weak. in this particular case, I'm going to give Ben Davison the benefit of the doubt and say that he knows his fighter better than we do. He knows the body language, and he knows, listen, you never know what he might have been through in camp. He might be compromised. There might be something going on that Ben knows that we don't. Okay. As a guy who's competed, I know there are situations that, where I had injuries, I had things going on that me and my trainer had to hide from the commission. I've gone as far as to putting makeup on cuts to get through a physical inspection, things like that. So there are things you do to get through that, those sorts of situations. So I'm going to give Ben Davison the benefit of the doubt and say that it's always better to err on the side of caution. I know a lot of fans hated it, and I think it affected the over-under. So that's why a lot of you are pissed, because I think it affected your bet in the negative. Some of you it affected in the positive, so you loved it. But a lot of you guys hated the stoppage, and you want to see Wood laid out cold on the canvas. And I get that, guys, but Ben Davidson's job is to protect his fighter. And at that point, could he have maybe held on for 10 more seconds or whatever and made it to the corner? Yeah, maybe. But then he comes out in the 8th round and takes an ass whooping. At that point, Ben Davison felt he was hurt enough that we should stop it, live to fight another day. Let's do a rematch. And next time we'll fix that technical error. Okay. No harm, no foul. So for me, I didn't hate the stoppage. Okay. I can understand why some people didn't like it. I get it. Okay. But I'm always going to err on the side of caution when it comes to protecting a fighter. I've seen too many punch-drunk dudes at the gym. Too many of them. Dudes that had records like 8-26 at the gym, hitting bags and shit, and their motor skills are all messed up. Their verbal skills are all messed up. I've seen too much of that shit. And I know a lot of you guys have too. Some of you guys have family members like that, right? So I'm always going to err on the side of caution. So I give Ben Davison a pass on that one, big time. As for a rematch, I would welcome a rematch. This was a good fight through those 7 rounds. It was very interesting. Both fighters were doing some good work. I do think Wood was winning, but the difference in power was evident. Lara's punches have way more snap on them and were affecting Wood more so than Wood's punches. Wood was landing lead right hands. That's hard to do. Okay. You have to be a skillful guy to do that. And he was doing it. He was landing some nice shots from the outside and getting out, but they weren't hurting Lara. They were stopping him in his tracks and making him reset, but they weren't hurting him. So in a rematch, I'm not sure if it looks any different, but I'd be willing, or I'd definitely be interested in seeing it. Absolutely. Okay. And then in California, Golden Boy Promotions had a card in Pomona. This also was on DAZN. And again, there's nothing really to speak of on the undercard, but the main event was great. Luis Nery, KO 11 win over Azat Havhannisyan. This was a WBC junior featherweight eliminator. So now Luis Nery is in line to face Stephen Fulton, who has that belt, but actually he's in line to face the winner between Stephen Fulton and Naoya Inoue, because they're going to fight and for Fulton's unified belts, I should say. So Nery is going to be in position to fight the winner. Now, he said after the fight that he would prefer Inoue beat Fulton because he really wants to fight Inoue rather than Fulton. I think that has more to do with styles. Fulton's style, all wrong for Nery. At least with Inoue's style, he'll get some shots in. He'll land some punches. Fulton would just smother him and win a 12-round decision. Inoue might blast him out of there in 4 rounds, but at least it'll be over quick, right? Anyway, Havhannisyan threw and landed more, especially to the body. But once again, the difference was in the power. And he was stopped standing up. He had got hurt at the end of the 10th round. He was able to survive. But here's an example, guys, of going back to that Leigh Wood stoppage, okay? Look at what happened to Havhannisyan. He survived getting hurt at the end of the 10th, comes out in the 11th, gets stopped standing up. So with Wood, it could have been the same thing. So you see 2 different outcomes of maybe the same thing. You know what I mean? But for Nery, good win here, and he is lined up now for a title shot. Okay, that's it with the review. Let me get to a couple super chats and then we'll do the preview. All right, guys. Let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right. Scrolling through. Forgive me for taking so long here. Chat is on fire. Okay. Super chat from 1 foot out the door. Thank you so much. He said, as a current DAZN customer, I am definitely not renewing with them raising the price and promoting clowns like Jake Fraud. There you go. Again, guys, I think we all kind of share the same opinion. Seriously. And what's funny, there was one guy who responded to me in I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, he was responding to my tweet this weekend, and he said, you ain't gonna do jack shit. You ain't canceling nothing. You're a degenerate. You're gonna keep watching. And I responded to him like, no, go ahead, fam. Watch me. Check back with me in a few months. I'm out. Unless they reach out to me and there's some sort of reconciliation, I'm out, because 225 is too much after everything else I've already given. Yeah, I'm a degenerate, but no, not sticking around. I can only be abused so many times before I'm out. Sam with another super chat. Thank you so much. He said, also, Lara was hurt by an early body shot that messed him up for a few rounds, and he recovered and landed that huge shot. Davidson saved Wood. He was done. I tend to agree, Sam. Again, Wood did very, very well, but his punches just weren't stopping Lara. Lara kept coming forward, and again, he looked amateurish at times and sloppy, but he was getting through and putting damage on Wood. And Wood had to fight basically a perfect technical fight for 12 rounds. And if he had done that, he would have won 9 rounds to 3, something like that, 8 rounds to 4. But he slipped up, and he slipped up in the 7th round. Who's to say a rematch wouldn't look any different? But I agree with you, Sam, that I think overall Davidson saved his guy. CJ Duncan with the super chat. Thank you so much, CJ. He says, Carl Carlson, deal maker, coming soon on DAZN. That would make the hike justified. Not worth the 40 weeks of UK mid-grade cards a year. Yeah. Maybe I should make a character, Carl Carlson, deal maker. Maybe that'll be a character going forward on the show. But dude, I agree with you. Like, listen, the UK mid-grade cards, sometimes they're fun. They provide some really, really great action sometimes, right? The mid-grade American cards, the same thing. But most of the time, when I say most, I'm talking 90%. Most of the time, those are mismatches. They're showcases, right? We know who's going to win. Some of these fights have 40-1 favorites. Do we really need to tune in for that shit? For real? And do we need to pay $225 for it? Nah, I'm good, fam. I'm good. Sam with another super chat. Thanks again. He said, after both cards, Davidson may be the only guy that cares about his fighter. These guys let their guy take way too many shots when they can't win. I completely agree with you again, Sam. Listen, whether you agree with what Davidson did or not, I give the guy credit for having the balls to make that judgment, knowing your fighter's ahead in the fight. You're fighting at home in front of your home crowd, right? So their hometown fans are there, their friends, their family, all there. You know you're going to get beat up for this decision, and you go ahead and make it anyway. That takes character. That takes balls. Dan Rafael's example of Davidson not stopping the fight when Fury got hurt against Wilder in the 12th round once again shows balls in knowing your fighter and knowing and understanding the situation and reading the room, having confidence that your fighter can get up and fight back, knowing his character, knowing what you had there. And what happened in that fight? Fury got up and gave Wilder the business and dominated the rest of that 12th round. Wilder, who's marketed as the greatest finisher in the history of the sport, had Tyson Fury down and couldn't finish him in the 12th round of a fight. And Fury hadn't fought anybody in 3-4 years. He was fat and out of shape. Couldn't finish him. So just, yeah, I'm with you, Sam. I'm with you. Aaron Gortman with another super chat. Thank you so much. He says, Mike, does it blow your mind that PBC/Showtime is still backing a dude who a girlfriend beats and ran after, nearly killing a pregnant woman? It just shows virtue signaling by Steven Espinoza and Al Bernstein is total bullshit. Yeah, look, dude, that's why you can't virtue signal when you're being a hypocrite. And the virtue signaling that's going on, it's not just with them. I mean, I'll just call out Espinoza specifically. When Al Bernstein can talk about Oscars so white and make these really divisive political statements about 50% of the country who don't vote the way he likes and vilify them. And I like Al. I got no problem with Al, but he's quite radical politically. And if he can beat up on half the country routinely on Twitter, but you canned Paulie Malignaggi because he voted for the guy you didn't like, that shows a double standard. I wouldn't can either of them. I'm saying I'm cool with everyone having their own political viewpoint. Do you? Whether you're on this side, that side, I don't give a shit. I'm just saying everyone should be treated equally. So that's where I would call out Espinoza. And then with all the virtue signaling about whatever subject, pick whatever subject is the topic of the week. And then you have a guy that has been arrested for domestic violence. There's videos of him roughing up a girl in public in front of thousands of people, a hit and run of a pregnant woman fleeing the scene, all this kind of stuff. Remember, they canceled Raleigh Romero from fighting Tank. Originally, they eventually went to it. But they originally canceled Raleigh Romero and brought in who was it? Oh, God. I can't even think of Azat Cruz, right? That's who they brought in. But they told Raleigh, nah, dude, you can't fight because some girl just accused him of something. There was literally zero evidence. He wasn't even arrested. So you're going to punish Raleigh. But this dude's been arrested. You're not canceling the event. It does look like double standards. And it does look extremely hypocritical. Extremely. Okay. All right. Let's do a little preview. And then we'll try to grab a couple calls. All right. Friday, February 24th from Hialeah, Florida. Guillermo Rigondeaux is fighting TBA off of television. Just thought I'd bring that up. I honestly, though, the cult of Rigo always annoyed me, but Rigo as a person, as a human being, I like, and I'm rooting for him because he did have that vicious burn on his face. Remember that freak accident? So him getting back in the ring and fighting, good for him. So I kid, but good for him. Seriously, that's pretty awesome. Saturday, February 25th from Minneapolis, PBC on Showtime, Subriel Matias from Puerto Rico going up against Jeremias Ponce from Argentina for the vacant IBF junior welterweight belt that rightfully should belong to Josh Taylor. So, I always beat up on the BC and the BA. They screw up the most, but the IBF has pulled some real stunts, and they have shown some extreme favoritism towards PBC fighters in recent years as well, particularly at 147. But this belt, really, Josh Taylor's the 140 champ. So, yeah, the winner of this fight, which on paper is going to be Subriel Matias, is going to be a champion, quote unquote, but the real champion at 140 is Taylor. Anyway, Matias has won 3 straight after his lone professional defeat, and Ponce is taking a big leap in opposition. The one thing with Ponce, he has traveled. I think he's fought like in Germany. I think maybe in the UK. He's been around. He's fought in a couple different countries. So he stamped his passport. He has that experience of fighting on the road. The thing is, you just never know what to expect with these Argentinian guys. You just don't know. Some of them come up and they end up being complete, just fluff, right? And then they just get blown out. Some of them are just tough as nails and end up being really, really good fighters. So it's just tough to tell with these fighters from Argentina. You don't always know what you're going to get. So anyway, that's that one. And then Sunday, February 26th, it's the big one. I kid. From the boxing powerhouse that is Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Woo. We did talk about pay-per-view earlier, right? Jake Paul going up against Tommy Fury in a 10-round cruiserweight fight. And then in the co-main, an actual real boxing match, Ilunga Makabu versus Badu Jack. This is the third defense of the WBC cruiserweight belt won by Makabu back in 2020. What has Badu Jack done to be in a title fight? I don't know. He hasn't really beaten anyone of significance in recent years. I'm not sure what he's doing in the title fight here, but he is. Okay. Fury, Tommy Fury is 8-0. Jake Paul is 6-0. So the question here is, who has a better resume coming in? Because what Jake Paul has done is basically beat up on guys who are novice boxers but have big established names in combat sports or other sports, even like the NBA. But they don't know what they're doing in a boxing ring, right? That's who's on his resume. So on the other side, Fury has fought 8 quote-unquote boxers, not former MMA guys and stuff, but look at the records. I would say all things considered, even though Jake Paul's been fighting MMA guys, I think Jake Paul's resume is actually better than Tommy Fury's. Now, what we're being told by the marketing department here is, well, now we get to see Jake Paul in with a real boxer. This is his first real test. I got to say, guys, on paper, I look at this, I think Paul should be a big favorite here. I actually think Paul might stop Tommy Fury. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it. We'll find out. No, I'm not buying this pay-per-view. But I looked at Fury's resume. I'm going to pull this up on BoxRec because I just want to show you guys this. What I'm going to comment on here. I want to give you guys a visual. Don't worry, I'll describe it for you guys on the audio. But I want to pull this up because BoxRec has a rating system for how they rate fighters, opponents, right? So I pull up Tommy Fury's resume on BoxRec, and then you scroll down and you look at his fights. Now, you can look at the record and you can see all that. I mean, the first guy he fought at the time he fought him, had 10 wins and 102 losses. The next guy was 0-26, then 2-26, then 0-11, 0-9. He fought one guy that was 2-0. I wonder where he's at now. And then there was one guy actually with a winning record that's 10-1. Daniel, God, how do you pronounce this? Bosiansky, who's actually, I'm just pulling it up, he's actually 11-2, but his resume is dog shit. Anyway, if you go over to the right side of the page, you will see stars, okay? And this is where BoxRec ranks the importance, the competitiveness, the level of the fight of the opponent. It's 1 star to 5 stars. Okay, so fights like Leigh Wood and Mauricio Lara, Luis Nery, Azat Havhannisyan, I'd say let's stick with Lara Wood because that was a title fight. That's probably a 4-star fight, right? Obviously, a fight like Fury and Usyk, that's a 5-star fight. Okay, that's how it would be rated here on BoxRec. Of the 8 fights that Fury has had, 7 of them have 0 stars, 0, and one opponent has 1 star. So, out of a potential 40 stars, because what 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, out of a potential 40 stars, he has 1. 1 star out of 40. That is the level of opposition that Tommy Fury has had. Now, what I'm about to say may sound disrespectful, and I don't mean for it to sound disrespectful, or it might sound cocky. And I don't mean to sound cocky here, but I'm going to say it with full confidence because I truly, truly believe it. I would beat most of Tommy Fury's opponents. Michael Montero, the host of the show, I would beat most of these guys. I'd beat them. There are guys that I have fought and beat in the amateurs who are better than these fighters. I'm serious. There are guys I have sparred with, and I don't mean 2 or 3 rounds. I mean dozens of rounds, professionals and amateurs that I have sparred with who would beat these guys, okay? If I can beat most of your opponents, your resume sucks. If my old married having a baby ass can beat most of your opponents, your resume is shit. That's Tommy Fury's level. So I repeat myself. Jake Paul should be a favorite. I don't know what the betting odds are, but he should be the favorite in this fight, and he should actually beat Fury fairly decisively after some early on scary moments. The reason why Paul has called out Tommy Fury and went after him so much, Tommy brings the Fury name with him, right? He brings the Tyson Fury name and that name recognition without any of the credentials, without any of the trouble, without any of the drama, without any of the skills. That's what he brings. It is perfect marketing for Jake Paul. It opens him up to the UK audience. He gets to market to the casuals that he's fighting an actual boxer. He's fighting the heavyweight champion of the world's family member who's only been a boxer, not some former MMA guy, not a former NBA player, not some YouTuber. He's a real boxer. He's only fought as a boxer. That's the marketing here. For all the flaws Jake Paul has, and for all the things we can criticize, the guy is pretty fucking smart. I gotta say. Now, if he lays an egg in this fight and loses, well, that's all on him. But on paper, I'm telling you, don't be surprised if he wins this and looks pretty good doing it. Seriously. Okay. That's it with that. Now, a couple more super chats. Let me make sure I am caught up. We got a super chat from Thunders Productions. Thank you so much. He says, damn, 102 losses and he still keeps fighting. How? LOL. Dude, yeah. And you know what? Let me pull up this guy's record now. Wow. So I'm pulling up the first guy Tommy Fury ever fought. And I know I'm going to butcher this name. Jevgenis Andrejevs from Latvia, Riga, Latvia. His record is 10 and 113-3. What's crazy, he's only been stopped 18 times in his 113 losses, and he has 4 knockout wins in his 10 wins. So imagine if you're one of the 4 guys who not only lost to this dude, but got knocked out by him. But he does go rounds. So I don't know what to call a guy like this. You know, the types of opponents that Tommy Fury has fought, I don't know what to call those guys. I guess professional resume builders, because they're brought in to build resumes, to pad resumes. Professional boxer resume padders, I guess that's what you call them. I don't know. Okay. All right, cool. Let's jump to a couple phone calls real quick, guys. We're going to go to France real quick. I think we got Johnny on the line here, and it looks like we got Fat and Nacho on deck. So let's jump to France. Johnny, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, cool. Good to be back. Thank you so much. Shout out to everybody in the MOB family, everyone. Shout out to you. Yeah, just wanted to say a few words about. I didn't want to speak about it at first, but I think afterwards I needed to say a few words about the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight. You said it right. It's very smart. Jake Paul is very smart. He's setting up to be the new face of boxing. He's setting up to be, you know, the new cash cow of the sport, and it's very sad because it's. I'm telling you, it's a rigged sport. Then starting from Jake Paul, it's going to be a rigged sport because if you look at it, all and every one of his stoppages win are dubious. You see, like you have Silva, you have each and every one of them. It's not really boxing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a show. It's just the sport's going to be fake, and that's sad. That really everything is written. Of course, Jake Paul is going to win, and he's going to win by stoppage. And he's already, setting up clashes with Carl Froch over Twitter. I don't know if you saw that already.
No.
You know Carl Froch, the British fighter. He would come out of.
I did not see that.
He would come out of retirement for Jake Paul. So it's all written down already,
That's
and
crazy.
it's going to be a very big year for Britain this year. They're going to get. We don't know yet about Canelo, right? Don't we? Do we? Canelo, is he fighting in UK or Mexico?
It's going to be in Mexico.
Because a lot of people hate the John Ryder fight, but it's going to be a fun fight. John Ryder is actually a pretty good fighter. He's going to be, I guess, more eager to fight than Callum Smith. He already bet quite convincingly to Callum Smith. I think he won against Callum Smith. I don't know if you remember that fight. He won, right?
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. Yeah, absolutely.
And you?
I think so too. I think you could definitely make an argument he won that fight.
And is quite a crafty boxer. He's a southpaw, and he actually quite looks like Canelo. He's a British twin. Just look at his face. He's got almost the same face as Canelo. Not red guy, but brown guy, brown hair.
Yeah, he's actually.
Apart from that, he really looks.
He's darker than Canelo. He's actually got darker hair.
But it's look at his face. Same eyes, same face, same very square face, very square chin, and he's almost built like him. So it's going to be a clash of styles. Very fun because John Ryder is somebody that likes to fight in a short way, close to the body, close to a lot of hooks and body shots. So I think Canelo's got to be on his top game this night because it's not going to be a walk in the park. Everybody shits on his fight, but it's going to be a fun fight because John Ryder walks over the fighter, and it's going to be a close Mexican style fight.
Yeah,
so
it'll be fun.
I really like this fight. I think it's going to be fun. And and just a few words about the Wood Lara fight. At first, if you remember well, there's a second round of the fight that is really a beatdown for Wood, and he's almost stopped there, right on his track, and he managed to survive the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And starting from the third round and so on, he set up his jab. But at first, his weakness is that the jab is lazy. It doesn't throw a proper jab, solid jab, that would deter Lara, that would stop him in his track a little bit. Mm-hmm. And since his jab is too lazy, it doesn't. Lara was very, very easy to get in and throw hooks and throw uppercuts and throw hooks to the body and last hooks to the head. And what saved him is that he managed to set his size afterwards in the following round and still lost. And I think really what happened is that fighters in UK, they don't have the level that is relevant to their audience right now. And the audience is magnificent in UK. And you get most of the cards because you spoke of the DAZN. DAZN done very, very, very bad, very low in the last month. And I did unsubscribe from them a few months ago already. And but I sorry, I did unsubscribe to them. DAZN did very bad, but they still offer a few fights. But so sorry, I lost my track a little bit.
You're saying you unsubscribed from DAZN?
Yeah, but before that, it was related to fighter. I can't remember, but still, I unsubscribed. I totally agree with you. The offer has been very low, and the increase of the price is not justified in any way. in any way. Really, it's very sad because DAZN was supposed to be the face of boxing, and now the face of boxing is a Jake Paul rig boxing, and it's very sad. So thank you so much, Mike. I think after I've taken a lot of time already, it was crazy. No, I was speaking about about the Wood Lara fight. I lost my track.
Oh, it's all good. Call back next time.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it.
That's cool. That's cool. Next time. Next time is going to be good. And just thank you so much, Mike, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. You too, brother.
Bye.
All right, there he goes, Johnny. Great job, Johnny. Guys, Johnny's calling from France, obviously a native French speaker, so it's difficult for him in English sometimes. He does a fantastic job, really does a fantastic job. All right, let's jump right on with the next call. We got Thad. Yeah, we got Thad right here. Let's bring him on. What's up, Thad? How you doing?
Hey, Mike, I wanted to set you up here because, you mentioned the over-under and how it was affected. Actually, the over-under was 6.5. That was like when it was put out.
Okay.
So it had no bearance on the over-under. So,
okay.
Because the over-under already happened. Yeah.
I thought it was 7.
1 minute, 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, 6.5. So 1 minute, 30 seconds of the seventh round, it went over. So, a minute and 10 seconds after that, he got floored. And the over already came in. So if you want to know about the live betting, I heard that Sam, I think, does the live betting, which is if you know what you're doing in boxing, man, you can make money. And I sent you a screenshot of mine. I go through BetMGM Live to do my live betting online, and I took a snapshot right before I put a bet in on Lara by knockout. And at the end of the 6th round, he was plus 400. Okay, so that means if you put $100 on him, you'll win back another 4. Okay, plus your 100 back. So it went all the way up to plus 500 about 30 seconds before that knockout punch landed, and I was right about to put another one in at plus 500, and then they took it down. And I'm like, what? And then alluding to the fact that it is like a 40-second delay, 30 seconds later, he lands the shot. And that's why they took it down.
Okay.
The live betting. Because the zone is on a delay. So the casinos, they have an advantage. They could, take down the odds when something like that happens, so they don't get hit hard. With people.
Sam is saying in the chat that's what he did too. He put that late bet on Lara. Yeah,
plus 400, and he was plus 800 to win a decision. I think he was like plus 600 straight up, and you knew he wasn't going to win a decision. So, that was like big time value. I even sent
Chad did it too.
A message.
Oh wow, Chad saying he bet Lara by KO for 450. Damn.
Right. Yeah. You could have gotten him from between round 6 and middle of round 7, anywhere between 400 plus 500. So I got him at 400. I already had him locked in on those other bets I told you about last week. The fight kind of went as I expected, to be quite honest. I think maybe Wood did a little better than I thought.
Me too.
Boxing-wise.
Me too.
But one hedge bet I did make was I found this great proposition. It was Leigh Wood to get up from a knockdown and win the fight. So in order to hedge my bets on Lara, I took that at 7-1. I got 7-1 odds. So $100 plus 700. Obviously, you profit 700. And obviously, he didn't get up, but that was in my view, it was a value hedge. Because if he was going to win that fight, he was going to have to get up at some point to do it. And Ben Davidson, from my standpoint, I was glad he stopped it because I had him between 7 and 9 to win the fight at plus 550. But as a boxing fan, I would have liked to seen Wood get the benefit of the doubt. And I know safety concerns abound, but when you're top line professional boxer, at the very elite level, you should be given that chance. You should be given that chance to survive and then come out for the next round. It was 10 seconds left. And we all know, Meldrick Taylor, Chavez.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe a little different. We can go, discuss that at another time about the Chavez fight, but sometimes the referees and the trainers, they panic. I think Ben Davidson did panic. I really do. I thought Lara would win in the next round anyway. So it probably didn't change history. It just would have been, round 8 stoppage. Because at that point, I think Wood was pretty much done. And I was, telling one of your other listeners, online, I was like, watch, Lara's going to come on now, 7, 8, 9, and do his damage. And that's just how he fights. If you watch his fights, he'll do damage to you early. He'll take his time around like 4, 5, 6, and then he'll come strong like after 6. I just try to take you out after he did damage, and then he kind of lulls the opponent to sleep. And it paid off. I mean, that's been his strategy.
There's a little Artur Beterbiev in him. Not, of course, the same style, but in the way he breaks people down, it seems.
Yes, that's exactly it. And if you've been in the ring, if you not in sparring because it's different, but a guy, he puts a lot of leather on you early, to the body, to the head, with power shots. It does take a lot out of you. It breaks your skin up. Obviously, Wood was busted up from the headbutt, but all those other punches, I mean, it looked like this guy was in a war, through 3 or 4 rounds already. You could tell the damage, just like Chavez fought when he fought Taylor the first time. You wouldn't guess that Taylor was winning the fight, in round 9, and he looked like a mess. I mean, his face was busted, but not only the face, it was his expression. He was a busted up man, to the body, to the head. And I think Wood was starting to have that look. So again, Ben Davidson, I think he panicked a little bit knowing the round was at the end, but I do think in the end, he probably saved his fighter from taking maybe almost a career-ending beating, because don't forget they had the rematch clause.
Right.
So he knew his guy was going to get a rematch. So I think that played into it. If there wasn't the rematch clause, I think he probably would have let it go.
That's a good point.
But in essence,
that's a really good point.
He saved him to fight another day, just like Breland saved Wilder in that fight with Fury. he got 10 years Wilder knocked off his life, by that third fight when they let it go 11 rounds. I mean, that is an extreme case. I
agree.
And throughout history, if you look back at fights, remember back in the day watching HBO and Showtime when I was a kid, Milt McCrory fought Donald Curry, and Curry just laid him out with a shot. Mills Lane was the ref. He let him get up and continue because it was a unification fight. And McCrory was done. His eyes were like in the back of his head, standing up, and all Curry did was just walk up to him, boom, left hook over, knocked him clean out. That was a time you should never have let that fight go. Mm-hmm. And then Tommy Hearns against Iran Barkley the first time. Hearns was literally not standing. Richard Steele was holding him up, to try to prop him up after Barkley landed that shot. Yeah. And then he got dusted again. I mean, but for people saying, because of the hometown ref, they do allow these guys more leeway to continue. So that is something. When you're the A side and you're fighting in your hometown. Actually, I don't think he's the A side. I think Lara was the A side. From DAZN's point of view, I would have to say that. But fighting in his hometown, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt every time. So people, have to be aware of that. It's like one team in the NFL playing on a 150-yard field, and the other team playing at a 60-yard field. Sometimes there are these things that happen in boxing. So that's about it, Mike. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. And then, in the future, we got a lot of good fights coming up. I mean, a lot. And I sent you those odds for Zurdo Ramirez versus Rosado.
Oh, God.
He opened up as an 18-1 favorite. 18-1. That's a large favorite. He should be about 100-1. Mm-hmm. And I feel that Rosado is going to get hurt in this fight.
Completely agree.
Because Zurdo's not he's not like a devastating puncher who's going to get you out with one shot. He's going to punish you and break you down. And he's a 220-pound man naturally walking around against a little guy like Gabe Rosado. I stood like Gabe Rosado, and he's a small guy.
Yep.
I have no idea how he's going to hold up against this man. Have no idea. I mean, he next to me, he's like a midget weight. I mean, it's and Zurdo, we're about the same height, 6'3"-ish, 200 pounds. I just really fear for this guy's safety. He's a tough guy, but I think his management's putting him in over his head. This is a big man that just is unrelenting with his punches. So maybe they'll pull out, but if not, I'll be betting, 18 large to get that grand, because there's just no way, he can win that fight. There's no chance. And these are the types of fights that we're being forced to pay for,
Yep.
and it's just not good. It's not a good look. So, Mike, thanks for the early breakdown of DAZN, and us boxing fans were taking it, man. I mean, it's the most expensive sport to watch, and yet they call it a poor man's sport. While golf and tennis,
right,
you don't have to pay for it. Those are like the rich man sports, and I love those sports. Believe me, I do, and I know I have a lot of friends that do. They never pay anything to watch them.
That's a great point.
But we have to pay to watch boxing. But boxing is a poor man's sport. But yeah, you have to be Rockefeller to afford watching it.
Great
unfortunately, point. So that's about it, Mike. So
good stuff,
have
brother.
A good one.
You too.
Will do.
Yeah, some great points there about that. I mean, that's a perfect summation. Boxing is a poor man's sport. I mean, most of the practitioners of the sport are poor. Most of the fans are poor, working class, if you will. If you don't like the word poor, working class, okay? And you certainly, they're not charging working class prices. That's for damn sure. Sam with a super chat. Before I'm going to take one more call, guys. I'm going to take Nacho's call here. Then we're going to bounce. We'll be going for an hour and a half. But I want to get a couple of these super chats real quick, and then we'll get Nacho on the line. So I apologize because there's a bunch of you on hold. I'm not going to get to all you guys today. Sam says, thank you, Sam, for the super chat. He says, Lara should not give Josh the Ram Warrington a title shot. He will use his head to cut him and get away with it. Not worth it. Fight Wood again. I agree with you, Sam, and apparently it's contractually mandated. As long as Wood's side wants it, and I do believe that they will want it, because it's a payday. It's probably going to be a big payday for them, because the first fight was good, and because of the stoppage, there's some controversy there, right? Controversy sells. I think that they could go right back to Nottingham and do it again. And it will do well for them. So I think they're going to do that rematch. I agree with you. All right. We got one from Anthony Santiago. Thanks again, Ant. He says, why is there a rematch clause for every damn title fight? Not saying I don't want a rematch, but seems like every single title fight has that clause. Yeah, this is the era of the rematch clause. There are. And what's crazy about a lot of the rematch clauses, man, is they're one way. When you're the A side, you could go into a fight and say, well, we're going to do a rematch if I lose. But if I beat you, no rematch. That's what a lot of these rematch clauses have. It's not like it goes both ways and it's 50-50. Pretty one-sided a lot of times. And, they call it leverage. That's another buzzword that's out there now in the ethos, the boxing ethos. Leverage. That's the new one. Leverage is the new lineal, right? It's out there. But that's what they call it. That's what they call it. Sarah Lachak with the super chat. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it. She says, keep up the amazing work. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. We appreciate you. All right. Let's go to Nacho. We're going to get one more call, guys. So then we're going to get out of here. All right. Nacho man. What's up? How you doing, bro?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? Not much. So since, like you said, the undercards were not all that great on either one, I am pretty much just going to talk about the main event for both of those cards. As far as Wood, like you said, Mike, he was boxing beautifully. I honestly had that fight 4-2 for Wood before he ended up getting stopped by Lara. I thought he was giving Lara fits. And the one thing that they allowed Wood, and I kind of expected it because, he was fighting in England, so I figured the refs would give him a little more leeway, was every time Lara tried to get on the inside and land body shots and any kind of headshot, Wood was allowed to just grab and maul Lara on the inside. And you could see that was kind of frustrating Lara, that he wasn't allowed to work on the inside. And that's why he was kind of getting a little overly aggressive from mid-range and the outside, trying to throw kind of semi-wild hooks and wild uppercuts and right hands from the outside. The only thing he kind of did that I was a little bit surprised that he did consistently was jab at Wood and was able to land that jab consistently to set up his other shots.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of made Wood leery enough to where I think he was waiting probably for something that, he was expecting. And when they tried to throw, like you said, they both threw the left hook at the same time. The only difference was Lara threw his very short and compact, whereas Woods kind of looked like it was a semi-looping hook that put him right in the middle of Lara's shot, and boom, he nailed him right on the button, dropped him. And I honestly don't have a problem, Mike, with the fact that Davidson stopped the fight. I thought it was a really good call. But my issue, Mike, is just the double standard that fans have sometimes when it comes to guys being hurt and either being allowed or not allowed to continue. Why is it that when guys are allowed to continue and then the opponent basically lays them the hell out, then they want to sit there and bitch about, oh, they should have never let that guy keep fighting. They should have stopped it as soon as he was hurt. Yeah. But then in a situation like this, a guy is legitimately hurt. He doesn't know what's going on. He's having trouble recovering his legs, and the corner sees it, and then the corner throws in the towel and they stop it, and then the fans going to be like, oh, you deserve to give him the benefit of a doubt. Well, which one is it? You can't have it both ways.
Right.
Either you allow guys to go on and get the hell beat out of them or get laid out, or you stop it early to save a guy. It can't be both ways. I think sometimes fans are just too overly critical about when a stoppage is good and when a stoppage is a bad stoppage. And I think that's just, it's ridiculous. You can't win if you're the trainer either way. And I think Davidson made the right call, and I don't blame him for having thrown in the towel and saved Wood to allow him to, come back and fight another day. Mm-hmm. The Havhannisyan Nery fight, man, that was a hell of a war. Credit to both guys. They both brought it. I mean, I figured that it was going to be a really good fight because Havhannisyan is never in a bad fight. And Nery, for the most part, other than the last couple of years where he's been a very so-so fighter at best, I kind of had a feeling he was going to come motivated for this fight because of the fact that, in a way, his ability to get another big fight was on the line. If he didn't perform well, he was just going to be another guy at that point. Even if he wins by decision or if it's a lackluster performance, I don't think there's a bunch of guys lining up to fight him. But now with this fight, I think he kind of earned himself a couple of, bigger fights. Does he get the winner of Inoue Fulton? I'm not so sure, Mike. I think whoever wins that fight probably tries to unify the division first before they end up fighting somebody else. So most likely what's going to happen is Nery's going to end up fighting for a vacant belt against somebody else, which, I mean, I'm not completely surprised if that ends up happening. But at the same time, though, the way he looked on Saturday, even though he was good enough to beat Havhannisyan, he doesn't beat Fulton or Inoue, in my opinion. I think he loses to either guy, whoever would be the guy that fights him regardless. And then real quick tidbit on the Jake Paul card, Mike. I could care less about that card. The only fight on that card that's somewhat intriguing is that co-main event with Makabu and Badu Jack. I'm kind of curious to see how Badu Jack looks against a guy who's a legit cruiserweight. Mm-hmm. And if he ends up beating Makabu, then he becomes another player at cruiserweight. He puts his name in the hat to kind of make some big fights there against Opetaya and Coley and whoever else is out there in the division. So I'm interested in watching that fight before I'm interested in watching Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight, to be honest with you. And the Showtime card, Mike, I think that fight, to be honest, is going to be I think it's going to be a sneaky good fight between Matias and Ponce. I think both of those guys are going to be hungry, and they're both going to want to come in and win that title and put themselves in the mix for bigger fights. Honestly, though, with Ponce Mike, I would say this. We didn't know who Roman Villa was last month when he beat Rashidi Ellis, and he was just some tough Argentinian dude that they brought in who they thought was going to lose. So, I mean, I would say that there's a good chance that maybe Ponce ends up being the same kind of fighter as Villa, just a tough, rugged guy who's going to come in there to fight and isn't going to go away. And Matias has never been in a bad fight as long as I've seen him. So I think it should be a good fight. What do you think about Jamal James coming back on that card after such a long layoff? Do you think that he could become a player again at 47, Mike, or is he just a guy that's just kind of treading water at this point in the division?
For me, he's just another guy. Yeah, like I was never that high on Jamal James anyway. I think he was more so a product of matchmaking. He just doesn't have that elite level to him. And yeah, I saw he was on that card, but yeah, to me, he's just another guy.
Okay. Cool. All right, Mike. Well, that's my call. Are you gonna do a Friday wrap up at some point?
I'm not sure yet. At some point,
okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. But yeah, we're gonna. I just, I don't know if there's enough going on right now, dude. I mean, the schedule is going to get strong again. It will. But right now, do we need to do a wrap up for Paul Fury? You know what I'm saying?
No.
So I don't know, dude.
I don't,
but yeah, at some point when the schedule
Yeah.
gets hot again, of course.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Well, hopefully you'll do one before the Zoo Harrison fight for sure in a couple weeks.
Okay.
I definitely would like to do. I'd like to see you do one then.
Okay.
But, yeah. All right, Mike. Well, I'll talk to you next week then.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
All right, man. You too.
There he goes. There he goes. We got another super chat from Aunt Santiago. Thank you so much. It says, why does Eddie Hearn keep bringing up Pacquiao versus Conor Ben? Is he really? Eddie. Jesus Christ. No. No. If he's bringing that, if he really wants to do that, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that yet. But if he really wants to do that, damn, that's bad. That's just bad. No, I really have no interest in seeing that. All right, guys. On that note, I hope you enjoyed my rant, my 40-minute long rant about DAZN, and some great calls today. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll see you guys again soon. Peace.